Hello everybody, this is Kirusha here. Now then, I do know that this is a different picture, and it is actually quite fitting. Now then, when we last left off, Sir and I had just made the prediction that Deku will be in prison in the next 24 hours. How he gets there he did not know, but all he does know is he saw something that did not add up. As soon as he went to go use a quirk, he stopped seeing anything after that. Now, Deku, he is talking with All For One, as he would just basically bring Tsunade to him. He would say that he has a little prediction. In the next 24 hours, I'm going to be in jail, and I think I have a good idea of what to do. The League needs a little more members, don't you guys think? As they would all start agreeing. Mr. Compress would just say that having savages around, they aren't particularly fun, but they get the job done. Well, you have to break an egg to make an omelet, Mr. Compress. Oh, I'm well aware. Just getting my hands dirty is not my specialty. I'm aware. Now, I have a question. What would Eraserhead's quirk and Night Eye's quirk make? The two share striking similarities. So, do me a favor. I can get us some guys on the League, but I will need a new quirk. Eraserhead's quirk and Night Eyes. Future vision and erasing a quirk. That's quite interesting. Alright, well, while you do that, well, while I do this for you, I need you to go over some information once you wake up or become conscious again. Shoot. Well, I will hand over the information to Mina. She can go over it and explain it to you. Alright. Perfect. As All For One would rip out Night Eye's quirk, and they would just tie him up and put him in the next room. Now, with that, Deku, he would immediately come over to All For One, and All For One would rip out the quirk from Deku. But he would just do one thing. He would look in the next 24 hours himself, seeing Deku's plan. As he does so, he would then realize that this actually will work out for him quite well. But it is going to be risky. As he would just take out Eraserhead's quirk. Now, as he does this, Deku, he's somewhat barely conscious, but he's basically in a Denki-like state where he's just somewhat stupid. Deku basically has been getting used to having these quirks ripped out of his body and shoved back in, basically. Now, with that, Deku, he would immediately just be basically handed over to Mina and Kirishima, as they would all be portaled away. All For One begins mixing the quirks together, resonating with them and trying to see if he gets the desired results. Except he wants to mess around with these two a little bit more, as the similarities would basically allow him to try and create a quirk that might actually be very useful to the League. Now then, with that, Deku's brought back to the base, and his men think he's injured. Mina would just explain what happened, and they would understand, but how is the boss going to get caught? Now, as Deku is sleeping, Mina would have made, let's say she made tea, and she's basically going over everything that's happening. Let's see. As she's flipping through, she's seeing numerous things, along with the fact that they have information. But this information is not going to be easy to get, as they have many contacts, but These contacts want favors done for them, they want jobs done, different supplies, different things like that, and they even have one contact that has a quirk. This quirk is quite simply... Now, his quirk was called shapeshifting. He's able to take the form of anyone he wants to for 24 hours. Along with the fact that whenever he was initially brought in, he was wearing the Decay hero's face. However, it was put in his record that his quirk only works if he knows what that person looks like and or speaks like. Along with the fact that his record shows that he has never been in this city up until the Decay hero's death. Allegedly. Now, with that, he would also explain that he had information about these days. Basically, every day associated with a building coming down. In fact, even the city block, that happened years ago. Now then, along with that, Deku, he's finding that this guy, not Deku, is finding that this guy, he's actually held up in the maximum security wing. Not only for murders, but for killing and actually slaughtering cops. Now then, with that, Mina basically sees why this man would be so important, along with why Deku would go to jail for it. Now, with that, Deku, after a couple hours, he would have woken up, but all for one, he would have given Deku a little bit of time to recover and figure out the information. Along with that, Deku, he would be basically getting a brief assumption about everything Mina's been reading over, and he's actually quite intrigued. So, he's connected to Shigaraki somehow. He's been in prison for a while. Do you think Shigaraki's been talking to him? I'm not sure, but apparently he does forget faces. Downfall to his quirk. Really? How long does it take him to forget a face? According to his record, 1 year. Really? Interesting. As they would go further on into his, studies and anything they can find relating to his record. Most recently, he has been seen turning into these 3 people. Along with the fact that these are actually well-known criminals in the underworld. Within the last year. Basically meaning that the prison has been getting broken into. People have been coming and going. Now then, one of these people is Tomura Shigaraki, which the guards are kind of creeped out about because they think that that's just that decaying ghost. Basically, the man knows about it, so he never forgets it. Deku knows that it's probably more than that, so he would want to pay him a visit. As whenever he can, he would tell Kirishima and Shinsho to come along with him, telling Mina to wait for the fireworks show to get started, but to at least give Twice a little thing for him, as he would hand over a note. Mina would just accept it and say that as long as he knows what he's doing. Now, with this, Mina would immediately just begin, and she would actually give Deku one last kiss. I hate speech impediments. Now then, with that, Mina immediately just goes, as she would give this to Twice, and all for one give Deku his new quirk. Now then, with this, Deku, he would somewhat go back into his dumb mode, but he at least has some control over his motor functions. As Kirishima and Shinsho would basically just be teleported to a random part of the city. This is very busy and it actually has quite a bit of heroes. Now, they are not wearing disguises. Deku, he would come out of his state for a minute, but he's basically showing signs of concussions. Basically where he can't talk, he can't really speak at all, but he is still able to move, talk, and do whatever he can. But it's just that he does show some sense of confusion. Now, with this, Deku, he is in this state right now as he would quite simply just walk out of the alley, as people would turn their heads and start looking at him. People began screaming and running as they would all see him. Deku would just immediately bring his hands down to the ground and focus his decay forward, killing hundreds of people in the process. Now, with that happening, he's also taking down some of the buildings, as Kirishima and Shinsho would actually make their presence known. Shinsho would actually just bring up his hand and he would fire an AP shot, mowing down quite a lot of innocent people. Kirishima would just use his vines and whatever he can with his hair to basically stab through the chest of quite a lot of police officers. Along with the fact that whenever heroes do arrive, they are fighting them. Deku gets taken down first, as with his quirk right now, people know this isn't going to work. The way he would be taken down is Ingenium would be immediately dispatched onto the scene. Along with the number... Crap, what was her... The number 4 hero at the time would be Hawk, so he'd be the number 1. Number 9, number 6... I want to say Ryuku, the dragon hero, would be in the city. Because I know I've seen her in Season 4, and she actually is quite a powerhouse with a dragon quirk. Now, let's say that she would actually be here, and she would actually be able to take out Deku by basically jumping off of a building behind him and actually just slamming him into the ground. Now, with Deku's increased durability from that speed quirk, I want to say he would at least survive not breaking anything in his back, but at least have some fractures. Now then, with this, Kirishima and Shinsho would immediately just be overrun, along with, well, basically police officers and heroes would eventually overwhelm the 3, along with Ryuku, Hawk, and... I am actually going to look into this real quick, hang on. Okay, I did just look into it, and Ryuku, the dragon hero, it's like, she's that jackrabbit woman. Her name is weird to pronounce. Mirik. I'm gonna figure that out in a minute, but then there's Edgeshot, who, he's basically that guy who can wrap things around and turn his body into tape, basically. Along with Kamari Woods. Now, they would eventually all take down the villains, and it would be broadcasted on the news that King Nothing, along with the villain Red Riot, and I believe that they would just call him Ground Zero by nickname, but the villains have been captured, basically. I don't know what Shinsho's villain name would be. Now, with that, they would all get their mugshots taken and transported to maximum security. Deku is somewhat happy about this, as whenever they are taken there, they are basically put into rooms, and this prison is huge. Now, with that, Deku, he is quite pleased with himself, as he is finally back at 100%. Now, as they are being transported to their cells, Deku would just tell Kirishima to see him later, along with telling Shinsho just to basically have a little conversation. Now, I want to say this is how they would tie Shinsho up and Deku up whenever they were basically caught or captured. This is how they would tie Kirishima up, and I want to say that there'd be a mix between this, basically a mix between all 3 of these for all 3 of them. Along with the fact that I feel like the fact that Deku's quirk, where he taps on anything, it starts rotting away, they'd literally just bind him up on a wall. Like, that's literally what they would do. No access to his hands, no access to his feet. Finding a way to contain him. Now then, with that, Deku, he is now waiting. 22 hours, 52 minutes. Only 2 hours left to go. Now, they would be put through all the process, fingerprint material, sentencing, and basically Deku would be read a lot of paperwork. With him being read that he is basically associated with this block coming down, this building burning, these men being killed, the murder and live killing of 5 people and 5 students from Pro Hero Midnight, along with attacking the UA Sports Festival, and are currently under suspicion of burning that place to the ground. Deku would just say one thing: allegedly, as this would piss a lot of the guards off. So, kid, I have a question. Your quirk works with 5 fingers. As one of the men immediately just take out a knife. I know quite a bit of the heroes you've killed. I've talked with some of them. I'm a big fan of theirs. So I wonder, what happens if we get rid of one? Does the quirk still work? How does that happen? Deku, he's literally just standing there with his arms bound, not even being able to properly get wiggle room between his fingers. I'm not sure. However, I do think you guys are underestimating me. Please, we're not underestimating you. Oh no, you all really are. How? Well, I have one question. What time is it? It's 9:58. Oh, perfect. Now then, I do believe it is my time to go. As Deku, he immediately turns on the physical air quirk, as he begins sucking all the air out of the room. The man immediately goes to stab Deku, but Deku, he would just immediately break that binding on his arm, just by quite simply releasing all his stocked up power, destroying everything around him. He would immediately just walk over as he is still sucking up all the air in the room. He would pick up the keys as he unlocks his cuffs. Now then, he would quite simply just tell the man, out of all the quirks I've ever had, this one's the best. Do you want to know why? As Deku would bend down, bringing his hand up, taking out a person just by taking away their ability to breathe, their ability to speak, drowning them in their own blood. It's a little too gruesome for me. This one, however, is plain and simple. Sucking all the air out of your body, watching you, and those blood vessels in your eyes popping. The way you claw at your throat, like you think it's going to help you. That need for survival and the fact that your brain knows exactly what's happening to you. Not even that. I don't even spill an ounce of blood myself. It's quite simply and just lovely. Now, if you excuse me, as Deku walks over the wall, and he just brings his hands up. I have a prison to rule. As Deku, he just immediately decays and destroys exactly what he has in front of him. Now, as soon as that happens, he immediately just turns on his quirk, as he looks into the camera. As soon as he does so, every pro there who is watching the live feed can feel their quirks turn off. Deku would just say, "Thank you, Night-Eye. Your quirk is useful." As he begins walking down the corridors, whistling a single tune. Now, he would eventually find Kirishima's cell, as he comes around the corner and sees the officers. He immediately brings his hand up, shooting them with the gun. Yeah, I don't really like the feel of these things. As he just drops it, and decays the bars. Now, once he does that, he immediately walks over to Kirishima, putting his hands on the console, destroying it immediately, which causes an emergency release. Now, once that happens, Deku also has to walk over and start decaying the thing on his head, actually ripping it off as Kirishima is able to see once again. Took you long enough. Oh, I'm sorry. The timing kinda got mixed up. Not sure how Night Eye's reacting though. What? Well, I'm pretty sure I know how it works, but all for one tried explaining it to me before he just threw it in. If I remember correctly, Aizawa's quirk, Eraser, Night Eye's quirk, seeing 24 hours into the future. And being able to see 7 hours if he actually does try. Now, if he uses foresight to his maximum, he can see it from 24 hours to 7 years up. With that, what do you get when you combine the two? You can erase. As Kirishima comes to the realization, Deku can erase quirks anywhere from up to an hour to an entire day now. That is scary to him. So, you're telling me we are stuck here with heroes who are basically fish in barrels. You're goddamn right we are, Kirishima. Now, let's go get Shinsho. As Deku would walk over. Shinsho's cell is quite cold. Now, Deku, he would immediately open the door, as Kirishima would just stick in his whips, stabbing into the guards, killing them. As soon as he does that, he would walk in, and they would basically get to work on taking down Shinsho, who is currently put in a box of ice, preventing him from sweating, along with the fact that they do need to remove that gag on him, restraining him from using his quirk. Now, once they do that, Deku just does one thing, as they start killing their way to the warden's office, taking out some pros on the way. Now, Deku, he immediately just does one thing. He hits the release on all the cells as he just says over the intercoms one thing. This is King Nothing. Now, insert name here of the guy they're after. Meet me in the warden's office. We need to talk. If you run anyone else who sees this man, bring him to me. I will assure you your freedoms upon that. And if you see any pros on the way, I took their quirks. Kill them. Now, every villain, they are in shock at what's going on, as they all just start laughing and cheering on King Nothing! King Nothing! As Deku would eventually get this man brought to him, as he was trying to run and escape. Now, they basically did broadcast pictures of his face along with the people he can disguise himself as. With this, Deku would be brought this man. As Deku, he immediately just asked him a couple simple questions. Your quirk. I know how it works and I know the specifics behind it. Now, where have you seen the decaying ghost? I haven't seen. As Deku, he just brings his hand up, immediately putting it behind the man, destroying the wall. Now, unless you want me to kill you, you will answer me correctly. Where have you seen the decaying ghost? Yeah, he's with the Yakuza. I'm sorry, could you speak up a little? He's with the Yakuza. Ah. The Yakuza are still relevant. Interesting. Now, can you do me a favor and introduce me to them? I can't. Why not? Because I'd be betraying my boss. Your boss. Ah, so you are loyal. Well, alright then. You will be given access to go back to your boss. but at least give him this. As Deku, he would immediately just tell the man that he is going to need a pen and paper. Hang on one second. He goes over, writing down what he needs to write, handing it to the man. The man takes it as Deku. He immediately just says, give him a minute. As he would walk over, and he just flips all the lights on in every sector of the prison. Meanwhile, outside, Mina and Twice are waiting. Twice has copied exactly how he has made copies of Deku, Muscular, Mina, Kirishima, and Shinsho. Now, with that, he is also ready. Mina, she's still waiting on the signal, as this is whenever they would see all the lights flick on and the bridge come down. Cops would immediately respond to what's going on, and this is whenever Deku, or at least his clones, would immediately just start running across the bridge. When that happens, Deku, he's quite pleased with himself now. He has his information, he has new allies, and, most importantly, he just spit in the face of a lot of pros. As it would be announced that there is a prison escape, and King Nothing can be seen all over the area. As people are watching, they would see a lot of duplicates of him, Kirishima, and Shinsho, along with Muscular. Now, with that, Mount Lady and quite a bit of other pros, they would all be immediately brought to the scene. As the duplicates are fighting off the cops and the heroes, some of them are actually faring better than others, and this is whenever Deku, he would find his phone back in, he would find his phone in that one, I believe it's called it's like a storage room. He'd be rummaging around and finding a lot of information, along with other things. He would eventually find his stuff, but quite a bit of people are raiding this entire area. Deku, he walked in first to get it. Now then, with that, this stuff, it's basically just anything he can. Now,